For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On the morning of July 12, 1998, 25-year-old Trevor Fisher left his Key Largo motel room to explore the historic shipwrecks off Cannon Beach near John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park. He never returned. Despite an extensive search by the Coast Guard and local authorities, only his fins washed ashore. Trevor Fisher vanished without a trace. For 23 years, his family lived with agonizing uncertainty, clinging to the hope of answers. Then, in the aftermath of Hurricane Ida in 2021, a park ranger clearing debris made a chilling discovery deep within the mangroves. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Trevor Fisher. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. The turquoise waters of John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park shimmered under the Florida sun. Schools of vibrant fish darted through the coral formations, a kaleidoscope of life beneath the surface. But above, the waves chopped against the shore, hinting at the unpredictable nature of the sea. This idyllic paradise held a dark secret, a mystery that began on a seemingly ordinary summer day in 1998. Trevor Fisher, a bright, enthusiastic 25-year-old college student, was captivated by the history hidden beneath these waves. He was particularly drawn to the stories of Spanish galleons lost to time and the elements, their treasures scattered across the ocean floor. He'd spent months researching the area, poring over historical charts and maritime records, his fascination growing with each discovered detail. This trip to Key Largo was the culmination of his research, a chance to explore the wrecks firsthand. He planned to snorkel off Cannon Beach, a popular spot known for its proximity to several documented shipwreck sites. The morning of July 12, 1998, dawned clear and promising. Trevor, equipped with his snorkeling gear and a waterproof bag containing his research notes, set off from the beach full of anticipation. Witnesses recall seeing him enter the water, his silhouette a dark outline against the glistening surface. He waved cheerfully to a family setting up their beach umbrella, a fleeting image that would later become etched in their memories. Hours passed, the sun climbed higher in the sky, and the beach began to fill with afternoon visitors. But Trevor did not return. As the designated time for his return came and went, a sense of unease settled over those who knew of his plans. His absence stretched from concerning to alarming. The alarm was raised, and the search began. The Coast Guard dispatched boats, their searchlights cutting through the growing darkness. Local police and volunteers combed the beach and surrounding areas, their calls echoing across the water. The search continued through the night, a desperate race against time. As dawn broke, the initial hope of finding Trevor safe and sound began to dwindle. Then came a grim discovery. A pair of blue and black snorkeling fins washed ashore, their familiar markings confirming the worst fears. They were Trevor's. The discovery sent a wave of grief and disbelief through his family and friends. Samantha Gwynn, Trevor's girlfriend, clung to the hope that he was still alive, lost and disoriented somewhere in the vast expanse of the ocean. His parents, their faces etched with worry, clung to the slender thread of possibility that their son would somehow be found. But as the days turned into weeks, the agonizing realization grew that Trevor might be lost to the sea, another victim claimed by the unpredictable depths. The initial investigation into Trevor Fisher's disappearance explored several theories. Drowning was considered the most likely scenario, given the inherent risks of open water activities. Equipment malfunction was another possibility. A sudden failure of his snorkel or mask could have led to panic and subsequent drowning. The waters off Key Largo are also home to various shark species, and although attacks are rare, the possibility could not be entirely ruled out. Investigators from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and the Coast Guard faced numerous challenges. The vastness of the search area, coupled with the strong currents and changing tides, made pinpointing Trevor's location incredibly difficult. Resources in 1998 were also more limited than today. Sonar technology was less sophisticated, and underwater drones were not yet widely used in search and rescue operations. Interviews with those involved in the initial search revealed the frustration and limitations they faced. The ocean, they explained, could be both a beautiful and unforgiving environment, capable of concealing its secrets with remarkable efficiency. The recovered fins were meticulously examined for any clues. Experts looked for signs of damage, tears, or unusual wear that might indicate a struggle or equipment failure. However, the fins, while confirming Trevor's presence in the water, offered no definitive answers about the circumstances of his disappearance. Grant Sullivan, a close friend of Trevor's, was among those questioned. He described Trevor as a competent swimmer and experienced snorkeler, passionate about his research and meticulous about his equipment. He painted a picture of a strong friendship, built on shared interests and mutual respect. Subtly woven into Sullivan's account were hints of his own financial difficulties, though at this stage, nothing concrete linked these troubles to Trevor's disappearance. Despite exhaustive efforts, the initial investigation yielded no conclusive evidence. The active search was eventually suspended, the case officially classified as a missing person, leaving Trevor's family in a painful limbo of uncertainty. The mystery of what happened to Trevor Fisher in the waters off Key Largo remained unsolved, a chilling question mark hanging over the idyllic paradise. The years that followed Trevor's disappearance were a relentless cycle of grief and unanswered questions for his family and Samantha. The initial shock and disbelief gradually gave way to a deep, abiding sadness, a void that seemed to grow with each passing anniversary. They refused to give up hope, clinging to the belief that one day, somehow, they would learn what happened to Trevor. Samantha, who had shared Trevor's dreams and aspirations, found herself adrift in a world suddenly devoid of his presence. She kept his memory alive, sharing stories of his infectious enthusiasm and unwavering dedication to his research. The Fisher family continued their efforts to keep the case in the public eye, contacting authorities regularly, issuing media appeals, and even hiring private investigators. They explored every possible avenue, desperate for any shred of information that might shed light on Trevor's fate. But as time marched on, the trail grew colder. Memories faded, witnesses moved away, and potential leads turned into dead ends. The complexities of investigating a disappearance at sea became painfully apparent. The vastness of the ocean, the ever-changing currents, and the unpredictable nature of the environment made it a daunting task to recover evidence or locate remains. The case files, once filled with initial reports and witness statements, gradually accumulated dust, a testament to the passage of time and the dwindling hope of finding answers. The Fisher family's plight was not unique. The Florida Keys, with their alluring beauty and vast stretches of open water, have witnessed numerous disappearances over the years. Some cases are resolved, offering closure to grieving families. Others remain open, shrouded in mystery, leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions and unresolved pain. These cases underscore the challenges faced by law enforcement in such investigations, the vastness of the search area, the lack of witnesses, and the relentless power of the sea to conceal its secrets. Despite the setbacks and the fading hope, the Fisher family never truly gave up. They held on to the belief that one day, the truth would surface, that the ocean would eventually relinquish its hold on their beloved Trevor, and they would finally find the closure they so desperately sought. 23 years had passed since Trevor Fisher vanished into the turquoise depths off Key Largo. The case had long gone cold, a file gathering dust in the archives of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. The relentless cycle of hurricanes that batter the Florida Keys each year had reshaped the coastline, leaving behind a trail of debris and destruction. In the aftermath of one particularly violent storm in the late summer of 2021, park rangers were tasked with the arduous process of clearing the debris scattered throughout John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park. Ranger David Miller was working in a remote section of the park, a tangle of mangroves heavily impacted by the storm surge. The air was thick with the smell of saltwater and decaying vegetation as he methodically cut through fallen branches and uprooted trees. As he reached into a dense cluster of mangroves, his hand brushed against something unexpected. It was a tangled mass of what appeared to be weathered and decomposed snorkeling gear, snagged amongst the twisted roots. He pulled the gear free, the brittle plastic cracking in his hands. As he untangled the mess, a glint of metal caught his eye. It was a dive knife, its blade corroded with age, but still bearing a faint inscription. He squinted, brushing away the encrusted salt and grime. The inscription read, T. Fisher. His heart quickened. He knew the name. He remembered the missing person posters that had once plastered the park's bulletin boards, the faded photographs of a young man with a bright smile. Further examination revealed another piece of identifying information. Attached to the snorkel gear was a tarnished silver ring, bearing the insignia of the University of Miami and the year 1997. It was a class ring. The pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. Ranger Miller immediately contacted his superiors, reporting the discovery. The news spread quickly through the park and reached the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. The discovery of the snorkel gear, after so many years, was a significant breakthrough. It rekindled hope for the Fisher family and breathed new life into a case that had long been considered unsolvable. The gear, with its personalized markings, provided tangible evidence that Trevor Fisher had been in that specific location, offering a new starting point for the investigation. The case was officially reopened, assigned to Agent Lauren Barrett, a seasoned investigator known for her meticulous approach and unwavering determination. Agent Barrett, aware of the weight of this cold case and the years of unanswered questions, approached the investigation with a fresh perspective, determined to uncover the truth of what happened to Trevor Fisher. The discovery of the snorkel gear, a seemingly insignificant collection of weathered plastic and metal, had opened a window into the past, offering a glimmer of hope in a case long shrouded in mystery. The snorkel gear, retrieved from the mangroves of John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, became the focal point of the renewed investigation. Agent Lauren Barrett, leading the newly formed task force, understood the importance of meticulous forensic analysis. The gear, though degraded by time and exposure to the elements, held potential clues to Trevor Fisher's fate. The mouthpiece of the snorkel was of particular interest. Under microscopic examination, faint cut marks became visible along the edges of the flexible rubber. These marks, barely perceptible to the naked eye, were consistent with a sharp blade, suggesting the snorkel had been deliberately severed rather than torn or damaged accidentally. Further analysis revealed traces of petroleum-based fuel residue in the sand clinging to the snorkel and mask. This discovery raised new questions. While boats frequented the area, the concentration of fuel residue found on the gear suggested closer proximity to a source than would be expected from passing vessels. Agent Barrett methodically revisited the original case files, poring over witness statements, police reports, and the limited forensic evidence gathered in 1998. She recognized the limitations of the technology available at the time and sought to leverage the advancements made in forensic science over the intervening years. She began re-interviewing individuals connected to Trevor, starting with those closest to him. Samantha Nguyen, though understandably still grieving, provided valuable insights into Trevor's personality, his meticulous nature, and his unwavering passion for his research. She also spoke of his friendship with Grant Sullivan, recalling details about their shared interests and occasional disagreements. Agent Barrett then turned her attention to Grant Sullivan. He maintained the same narrative he had offered in 1998, expressing shock and sadness over Trevor's disappearance, portraying himself as a supportive friend. However, Agent Barrett's investigation into Sullivan's financial history revealed a pattern of debt and questionable financial dealings. She discovered that Sullivan had been involved in a sophisticated counterfeiting operation, producing and distributing fake rare coins. This illegal activity, though initially unrelated to Trevor's disappearance, became a crucial piece of the puzzle. Advances in DNA technology played a critical role in the new investigation. While DNA analysis was in its relative infancy in 1998, by 2021, it had become a highly sophisticated tool for forensic investigators. Agent Barrett requested DNA testing on the recovered snorkel gear, comparing any genetic material found with samples from Trevor Fisher's family members. The results confirmed that the DNA profile extracted from the mouthpiece of the snorkel matched Trevor's, further solidifying the link between the recovered gear and the missing student. As Agent Barrett delved deeper into Grant Sullivan's activities, she discovered a crucial connection between Sullivan's counterfeiting operation and Trevor Fisher. Financial records revealed that Sullivan had borrowed a significant sum of money from Trevor, a loan that had gone unpaid. Interviews with mutual acquaintances revealed that Trevor had recently discovered Sullivan's illegal activities and had threatened to expose him to the authorities if he didn't repay the debt. This revelation provided a potential motive for Sullivan's involvement in Trevor's disappearance, a motive that had remained hidden for over 2 decades. The seemingly unrelated pieces of the puzzle, the cut marks on the snorkel, the fuel residue, Sullivan's financial troubles, and Trevor's threat, began to coalesce into a disturbing picture of foul play. Agent Barrett's investigation into Grant Sullivan intensified. She meticulously pieced together a timeline of Sullivan's movements on the day of Trevor's disappearance. Witness statements placed Sullivan's boat, a small, fiberglass runabout, in the vicinity of Cannon Beach on the morning of July 12, 1998. Fuel receipts confirmed that Sullivan had purchased gasoline at a marina near Key Largo on the same day, corroborating the forensic evidence of fuel residue found on Trevor's snorkel gear. The investigation also uncovered a previously overlooked detail from the initial 1998 investigation. A faint smell of gasoline had been reported by one of the Coast Guard officers involved in the initial search near the area where Trevor's fins were eventually recovered. This seemingly minor detail, dismissed at the time as potentially originating from passing boats, now took on new significance. Agent Barrett theorized that Sullivan, burdened by debt and fearing exposure, had lured Trevor out to sea under the pretense of exploring the shipwreck sites. Once they were isolated, Sullivan had enacted his plan. He had used his dive knife, a similar model to Trevor's own, to surreptitiously cut the mouthpiece of Trevor's snorkel, rendering it useless. When Trevor surfaced, gasping for air, Sullivan had pushed him overboard. The small amount of gasoline Sullivan had poured onto Trevor's gear, and potentially into the water, would have masked the scent of blood in the water, hindering any potential search efforts by disrupting the tracking abilities of search dogs. He then disposed of the incriminating snorkel gear in the mangroves, hoping the tides and currents would carry it away, or that it would simply decompose unnoticed. The discovery of the cut marks, combined with the fuel residue and the witness placing Sullivan's boat near the scene, provided compelling circumstantial evidence. Agent Barrett requested a warrant to search Sullivan's property. The search yielded a crucial piece of evidence. A small, hidden compartment in Sullivan's boat contained traces of Trevor Fisher's blood, confirmed through DNA analysis. Confronted with the mounting evidence against him, the DNA match, the witness testimonies, and the recovered dive knife bearing traces of both his and Trevor's DNA, Grant Sullivan finally cracked. He confessed to killing Trevor Fisher. In a chillingly detailed account, he described how he had planned and executed the murder, driven by desperation to protect his illegal counterfeiting operation and avoid financial ruin. He admitted to cutting Trevor's snorkel and pushing him overboard, then disposing of the gear in the mangroves, hoping to make it look like a tragic accident. Overcome with emotion, Sullivan agreed to lead authorities to the location where he had weighted Trevor's body and sunk it in the shallows near the shipwreck site. He claimed he had chosen that location out of a twisted sense of irony, leaving Trevor amongst the historical wrecks that had been his passion. Following Grant Sullivan's confession, a team of divers from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office began a painstaking search of the area he had indicated. The waters near the designated shipwreck site were murky, the visibility reduced by years of sediment accumulation and coral growth. After several hours of searching, they located Trevor Fisher's remains. His skeletal remains, still entangled in remnants of his diving vest, rested amongst the coral and the decaying timbers of a centuries-old Spanish galleon. The medical examiner confirmed the cause of death as drowning, consistent with Sullivan's confession. The discovery of Trevor's remains brought a mixture of relief and renewed grief to his family. While the confirmation of his death was devastating, it also brought a sense of closure, ending years of agonizing uncertainty. The long-awaited answers, though painful, finally allowed them to begin the process of healing. Grant Sullivan was charged with first-degree murder. The trial, held in the Monroe County Courthouse, captivated the nation. The prosecution presented a compelling case, detailing the forensic evidence, the witness testimonies, and Sullivan's confession. Samantha Gwynn delivered a powerful and emotional testimony, recounting her relationship with Trevor, his dreams, and the devastating impact his disappearance had on her life. Her words resonated with the jury, painting a vivid picture of the young man whose life had been tragically cut short. The defense argued that Sullivan had acted in a moment of panic, driven by desperation and fear of exposure. They attempted to portray Trevor's death as an accidental drowning, a tragic consequence of a heated argument that had escalated unexpectedly. However, the overwhelming evidence against Sullivan, including his own confession and the forensic analysis of the snorkel gear, proved insurmountable. The jury found Grant Sullivan guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At his sentencing hearing, Sullivan expressed remorse for his actions, acknowledging the pain and suffering he had inflicted on Trevor's family and friends. He spoke of the guilt that had haunted him for over 2 decades, a burden he would carry for the rest of his life. The resolution of Trevor Fisher's case highlighted the importance of persistence in solving cold cases. The advancements in forensic science, coupled with the dedication of Agent Barrett and her team, had brought justice for Trevor and closure for his family. The case served as a reminder that even after years of unanswered questions, the truth can eventually be revealed. In the quiet coastal town of Key Largo, a memorial service was held for Trevor Fisher. Friends, family, and members of the community gathered to remember the young man whose passion for history and the sea had led him to this tragic end. Samantha Nguyen spoke of Trevor's infectious enthusiasm, his kind heart, and his unwavering dedication to his research. She shared anecdotes of their time together, painting a picture of a bright future stolen too soon. The memorial served not only as a tribute to Trevor's life, but also as a symbol of the closure his family had finally received. The turquoise waters of John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, once a source of mystery and unanswered questions, now held a different meaning. They were a reminder of Trevor's enduring spirit, his passion for exploration, and the enduring love of those who would never forget him. The case of Trevor Fisher, though marked by tragedy, ultimately became a testament to the power of perseverance, the unwavering pursuit of justice, and the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable loss.